Well, hello everybody. My name is Ronnie. I'm with Whip and Chain. I work with Maggie and Lauren to bring you crochet tutorials. But today we're doing a live and we're going to work on granny squares. But a couple things I want to go over first is yarn. And we're waiting. Maybe a few people will pop on in the beginning. We will see. A couple types of yarn. This is a Hobby Lobby yarn that we enjoy, but the yarn weights is something that we really do watch closely, and it will determine so many different things. Like this is a 3 weight, and then this acrylic yarn is a 4 medium, and then you can actually go a lot thicker. Like this would be a 6 bulky. So that's the cool thing about yarn. You can get all different sizes and thicknesses, and you can make so many different things from clothing to scarves to socks to so many different things. But today I want to work on doing a continuous granny square with you together. Okay. And we're here. We're going to be crocheting together for a while. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them. And I'm hoping Maggie's on here to help with answering any of them too. So I'm going to be doing a standard granny square. And what's nice about them is you can keep going, adding rounds to them until you get to the size of the granny square that you would like. So in the beginning, I do a chain 3. Then I add 2 more double crochets. So with that chain 3 and 2 more double crochets, that will equal 3 double crochets. Then I do a chain 3. And then again, I put in 3 more double crochets. And then another chain 3. And like I said, we're here if you have any questions regarding crocheting, on how to do granny squares, how to do a join that's easy. We're here. We can help with all your crochet questions. If you need help on a pattern, we are on Facebook as long as it's a free pattern. If it's not a free pattern, we can talk to you privately and help you get through a stage that you might be struggling in on the pattern. So we're going to do another 3 double crochets. Welcome if you're joining us. And one more set. Right now I'm just using acrylic yarn. So doing granny squares is a lot of fun. You can make so many different projects with them. And then here's my trick on how you join to the top of the chain 3. But let me show you how I start the next round. That way you're not having to slip stitch over and you're not seeing those slip stitches, and it looks really neat. So what I do is I just chain 2, just a chain 2, and then still in that corner you put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And do a chain 1. And then in the next corner, we're going to be doing 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then after you do your 3, chain 3. And then put 3 more double crochets in that corner. And just by doing that chain 2 does not count as a double crochet. And what's really nice is when you come around and you slip stitch, you're actually slip stitching into a full double crochet instead of trying to slip stitch into a chain where it's more noticeable. When we come around, I'll show you what I mean. So we're into another corner again. So we're going to do our 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 3. And after we work on this for a while, I'm going to show you another type of granny square that's a continuously growing granny square, which is nice. So it'll look so pretty no matter how big you decide you want to make it. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the tomato coaster. I enjoyed making that whole set. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. So the next corner again is 3. Hi, Maggie. Will be 3 double crochets, a chain 3, and 3 double crochets. Doing the corner the way I'm showing you really helps keep your granny squares very uniform. And it's hard to tell where your join is. And to me, that matters when you're doing projects, especially if it's a project that you might be doing for somebody, or if it's a project that you might be selling. Well, hello, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy our videos. That means a lot to us. Now in the corner that we started in where we did the 3 double crochets, do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Do your chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're actually slip stitching into that first double crochet. And it's a neater join. So to start again the next round, you just chain 2, and then you put in 3 double crochets. And then you chain 1. Now we have a path, and this path one, you just put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then you chain 1, and then you're in a corner. In the corners, we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. If you guys have any questions while we're doing this granny square, please put them up and Maggie or myself will try to help you with an answer. And this is our YouTube channel at Whip and Chain. We also are on TikTok, but we're trying to gain followers so we can do some lives on there. So if you haven't already, come follow us. Chain 1, right in the middle of the runway, we just put in 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 1 and back to a corner. These granny squares are fun because you can make them really little and we have tutorials on all different types of joins, or you can make them bigger. And these work with almost any type of yarn that you want. Chain 1. Chain 1, we're back to a corner right here. So we are doing, we are collecting granny squares to make a blanket from all around the world. People are making one square. It has to be 9 by 9. And then for the people who made them, will be put into a raffle, and the person that is picked will win the blanket. And I think Maggie said we already received 2 of them today, which I'm so excited about. Chain 1 in the middle of the runway. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and we're back to our starting corner, so that's just 3 double crochets. And chain 3. And then you slip stitch to your first double crochet. Okay, let's do one more round together. I'll put in 3 double crochets. Now, if you want to start your corners with just a chain 3, you're welcome to do that too. Run chain 1. Now we have 2 areas on a runway to put 3 double crochets in. Chain 1, come on over, and 3 double crochets. And then the corners are always the same. They're 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets. It's always just 3 double crochets in the runway, and you just chain 1 between. I do recommend the hook size. I'm using a 5, my clover hooks. The hook size is usually recommended on your yarn. This one, they're recommending a size 5. And depending on the yarn you're using, like the acrylic for 4 weight, for a crochet hook, they recommend a 5.5. Or if you're knitting, it's a 5mm knitting needle. That is a suggestion. You do not have to use the hook that they recommend. But just remember, the smaller the hook, the tighter it's going to be. And if it's a thicker yarn, it's going to be harder. But some patterns do recommend larger hooks. And also some stitches, like the Jasmine Star, do recommend larger hooks because they have the stitches. So when you're doing a project, I would always recommend reading what the suggestions are and then make some samples. See if you enjoy the way it looks with the size hook that you have chosen. Because especially like if they're recommending a gauge, and if you do gauges, if you do a gauge and you don't use the recommended hook size, it could throw off your whole pattern, especially if you're making a shirt, something that's wearable. Gauges are really important for some projects. Some projects, it doesn't really matter as much. Like granny squares, the gauge does not matter as much. But there are some projects that gauge is really important. So I would say play around with it, but read, like if someone took the time to make a pattern and do a gauge and everything else, there's usually a really good reason that they're recommending a certain hook size. But we all have different tension on projects. I know some people that crochet extremely tight. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I crochet very tight. Sometimes I'm a lot looser. So sometimes when I'm working on projects and I put them down and start them a couple days later, I'll notice there's a difference even though I didn't change hook size or anything. I'll notice I was being tighter with the yarn on the day prior than the day that I'm crocheting. So for this, like I said, this particular granny square, and when you're in the runway, you always do just 3 double crochets, chain 1, and go to your next chain 1 section. And in the corners will always be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And you can just continuously do this and make it absolutely as large or as small as you want. It will always be a square. So if you go, that's my dog with me. So if you go very large, it's going to still be a square. And when you use yarn that's like color changing, it can be really cool. And then the last one is a chain 3. and then you slip stitch to the top of your first double crochet. And that is the standard granny square. It turns out really pretty, don't it? Very pretty. Now, another type of granny square that you can do that is continuously growing. Now, I'm going to start with a magic ring. If you don't want to do a magic ring for this, all you have to do is chain 4 and slip stitch to the first stitch to make your ring. I do have videos, I think 2, on how to do this magic ring. So if you're interested in them, you can search for it. So for this one, we're going to do a chain 3. If you did the magic circle, magic ring start, just chain 2 more. And then in there, you're going to put in 2 more double crochets. Just chain 2. And then put in 3 more double crochets. Now this one is a 2-row repeat. So when you end, you need to end on row 2. I think I messed up. Yeah, I did. 2 more double crochets. So you need a total of 3 double crochets, but this is just for the beginning. So it's 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets. You're going to do this until you have 4 sets. My dog wanted down. Chain 2, another set of 3. 1, and 3. Chain 2, just a chain 2, and then 1 more set of 3. And before you slip stitch, make sure you do your chain 2 and then slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. And then you can tighten. So now here, I want you to chain your 2, put in 2 more double crochets. Now chain 1. Now counting all 3 stitches, even your chain 3 here, you have 3 stitches. So in the center stitch right here, put in a double crochet right in that stitch. Chain 1, and then you go to your corner and you put in 2 double crochets. Chain 2 and 2 double crochets. My favorite yarn, up chain 1 and then put another double crochet in the center stitch. You have 3 stitches. My favorite yarn, I'm having, well, my type of yarn, I enjoy Hobby Lobbies. That's my favorite type of yarn, but I've been having a lot of fun with crocheting with cotton yarn lately. And this yarn that I was using, viscose and polyester, I like this because it's not a pull yarn. And the spinnies, if I'm saying it right, spin ease yarn, it's beautiful. It's easy to work with, and it works up really nice. Really, really nice. So after you did your double crochet in the middle of the runway, you chain 1, you go back to the corner, and you just put in 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And again, you chain 1, and then you take your center stitch again, because you're skipping 1 stitch, going to the next one, because we did a chain 1. You put a double crochet right in there, and then chain 1, and you're back to your corner. And the corners are always 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 more double crochet, chain 1, and then you're going to skip 1 stitch. You're going to put a double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, and you're back to the corner where we started. So in that corner, put in just 2 double crochets and chain 2, and then you're going to slip stitch to your first stitch. Now that was round 1. It's a 2 round repeat. So this is 1. Let's do row 2. So it's a chain 2, and you put 2 double crochets into the first stitch, and you put in 1 double crochet in every stitch, including the chain 1 stitches. So there's 1, and my chain 1 area. So you go underneath it, right around it, and put a double crochet. Then you put a double crochet right on top of this double crochet. So essentially you're just putting in a double crochet in every single stitch, including the chain 1 stitches, until you get to your corner. And then when you're at your corner, you just do the 2 double crochets. Now we're here if you have any questions for us. We would be happy to answer them for you. After you do your corner, again, you just put in 1 double crochet in every stitch. This is a pretty granny square. Even though it's a 2-row repeat, it turns out absolutely beautiful. Make sure you go onto the top of that double crochet when you do your stitch. And if you do this in a thinner yarn, it can look very elegant. I had to see where my little man was. He's being awful quiet. So in the corner, you do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. And then again, we're going to just double crochet straight across. Make sure you move your corner over. Don't forget any stitches, because that will throw your counts off very quickly. to a corner. Always never be afraid to move your yarn over your stitches if you need to be able to see. And then when you come to where you started, you just put in your other 2 double crochets and your chain 2 and your slip stitch. So this is the row. As this grows, this is the row that you end on. But look how pretty that is versus this type. They're both granny squares, but they're beautiful. Now, just to start row 1, let me just show you. Make sure you guys are okay with it. It's a chain 2. Then it's 2 double crochets. Chain 1. And then you skip your first stitch. Then you put a double crochet in the next stitch. It's a chain 1. Skip a stitch. Put a double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and a double crochet. Thank you, Maggie. So if your counts are right, when you go across and you chain 1, you will skip that last stitch before you go into your corner. That's how you know your counts are good. And the corners again are always 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And in the next row, we'll be just putting a double crochet in every stitch, going all the way around. And this is the repeat. That's it. All I do suggest, I mean, there's no rule that you can't end on row 1, but if you join this to something else, it's going to be more noticeable than ending on a solid row of these. So these are the 2 types of granny squares I wanted to show you tonight. And Maggie and I and Lauren love that we're getting the followers that we have. We're on Facebook, Whip and Chain. We're on TikTok at Whip and Chain Crochet. And obviously we're here on YouTube at Whip and Chain. And if you are on TikTok, come follow us. We would love to get more followers so we can do some lives on there. I greatly appreciate it. And this was our very first live. I am planning to do more, so spread the word, please. And if there's a live that you want to specifically see something, us make it or do it for you, or show you if you don't know how to do something, just message us. Come join our Facebook group. Let us know what you want to see, and we will be happy to do a live for that. And Maggie said, send all the requests. We will do everything we can to help you out. Until our next live, thank you guys for joining us. Happy Easter. Stay safe. Bye-bye.